Hey guys, it's Reed Florine here, and I've got my good friend Darby Rollins on the call. Hey Darby, how you doing?
Hey, doing great, Reed. Thanks for having me here.
Awesome. For those of you who don't know Darby, he's an entrepreneur, author, and drummer living in Austin, Texas, and he's the founder of Jarvis Underground. It's a secret society of authors powered by artificial intelligence. He also runs a sales agency that helps clients craft irresistible offers that sell more products at higher margins. Now, after writing his first book with Jarvis in 72 hours, he's helped hundreds of entrepreneurs start their author journey to clicking publish inside the 7-day book challenge. Since then, Darby has partnered with co author Zachariah Stratford to change the way books are published forever by leveraging artificial intelligence, proven systems, and actionable content so more authors can get their books out of their head and into the world. Darby, I'm really excited to have you here. Tell us a little bit more about what you are doing right now.
Yeah, so like you said, we're helping authors, we're helping entrepreneurs, people that have a book inside of their head, really get that book out of their head onto paper and into the published format. And often we're finding it that's to help them either grow their authority in their niche, kind of lever, amplify their influence in a space, or just tell their story and get that book that they've been putting off till next week, to next month, to next year, to just getting down, focusing inside of the 7-day challenge and making some really serious progress on their book. In some cases, actually clicking publish from blank page in 7 days. Now, that's not always the case. Sometimes it takes people a little bit longer, but the point of the challenge is to really move the needle, make some really serious forward progress and gain some momentum and learn some really cool new things along the way. And one of them is how to use Jarvis, the artificial intelligence, and a lot of other really cool new tools that are leveraging AI and and just technology these days to help people accelerate that process and put something out in the world that can really make a difference for them and their business.
Very nice. So what kind of books are you seeing people write with Jarvis with your training?
Primarily, we're we're seeing nonfiction books come through the training. There's an obvious huge market out there for the fiction side of things, but for the purposes of where we're focusing, it's nonfiction, it's experts, it's thought leaders, it's business owners who are leveraging the knowledge they already have and going through our system and following a real step by step framework to this is how you write a book in a nonfiction format. These are the steps. This is the formula. And now it's up to you to kind of be that chef to put the spice and the mix in it. And alongside our writing assistant, Jarvis, it can help really smash through that writer's block and accelerate where you might get slowed down in some cases by staring at what do I write here next. Often we're finding it's people are in some cases using Jarvis and the AI tools a lot more than others, depending on um, their understanding and their level of comfort in their own expertise. Now, you can obviously start and write a book absolutely from scratch using a lot of the techniques that we teach by simple research on the internet, understanding a topic, identifying a niche, and taking what's already been put out there, learning it, ingesting it, and then putting it back out in your own words. But for the real thought leaders and the real authorities that have a unique process, we've found that they're able to the biggest thing holding them back is actually just getting the outline sorted and organizing their thoughts. And so in doing that, the core focus for the first 2 days of the challenge isn't even on writing the book. It's on preparation, on finding your why, on understanding like who you're writing to, obviously your goals for the book, what's the ideal outcome that you want, and then just mapping out what does this book look like from beginning to end and getting that outline really crystal clear. So by day 3, if you're following the traditional step-by-step 7-day framework, it's all about writing on day 3 to day 5. Day 6 is editing, and day 7 is publishing. And while we have people that do that inside of the 7 days, each day of the challenge can be its own week, can be its own month. It's really about where you want to put your focus and where your priorities lie. And we have some people that come into the challenge that have already gotten their outline written. They've already done keynote presentations on a topic. They've already got the content out there in some format. We say, cool, let's prepare, let's outline, and then let's focus really, really intensely on the part that you need to do, which is getting your, what we're calling the minimum viable manuscript written, so that you can get a book in printed format into your readers' hands, so that you can get even more actionable advice onto what to take back to your book and then make the next edition, the next iteration. And often what we're finding is with these authors and with these experts in their industry is a book is essentially a lead magnet for that's pre-selling their ideal customers or clients into their next offers and services. And it gives them a really easy to consume piece of content that warms them up to, okay, this person can help me solve a problem. I want to talk to them. I want to learn more about their offer and services. And ultimately, I want to do more business with them in the end, so that you can really specifically measure that return on investment for the time that you're putting into a book. Because it does take time and it does take energy. And how are you going to get that back in a 3-second world where we're all busy? Like, how do we focus? The answer is the 7-day challenge.
Well, I think that's really good, because I think everyone has always wondered, what if I write a book? And they get frustrated with the cursor on the screen that's just blinking at them, and it kind of challenges them and taunts them, going, gosh, am I able to do this? Could I even write a book? And it's a dream that many people put on their back burner. And with what you teach with Jarvis, it makes it just so exciting and so easy for people to do, where they can go in from not really knowing what they want to do, and 7 days later, they could have their own book. And I feel that, business cards were huge last century, and books are really the 21st century version of business cards. And if you've got a book, you are just leaps and bounds ahead of your competition, because 99% of people are not going to write a book. They're not going to take the effort, and especially a book that's going to help them grow their business. And what you've done with this challenge is you've specifically tailored it to really focus on people creating books that are going to not only give them a book that's going to give them authority in their marketplace, but really focus on creating books that grow their business. And that's what I love about this challenge is you really are teaching them to outline a book that's going to be aimed at their ideal customer, so that person buys much more expensive things. Because basically you could give someone your book, or you could sell them the book for, I don't know, say $20. But with your training, they could take that book and it could end up being workshops or live events or services, whatever they want to sell on the back end, and make a lot more money. And it's all because they have a book. Whereas they might have they will have a very hard time selling those kind of services without a book, just because you don't have the authority. And the fastest way to any sort of authority in today's age is a printed book. I firmly believe that. Anyone that I've purchased a book from, I've just always placed them on a higher level than other marketers. So I really applaud what you're doing with teaching people how to write a book with Jarvis. Now, I do think that there's probably a lot of people that are a little concerned about writing a book, and it sounds daunting. It sounds like, oh, I'm going to just be typing all week long. And now, how do people go about just writing a book with Jarvis? Because I think my hands would be sore after 7 days of writing a book. How do you combat that with Jarvis?
So the way we see Jarvis fitting into this picture is really, again, like it's said inside of even the founders of Jarvis, is it's a tool in your tool belt. It's not a crutch that you lean on and expect it to do all the work for you. But a term that one of our students has used recently was a you're dancing with Jarvis. You're playing off ideas. You're sparking your creativity. You're seeing a different angle that you might not have necessarily looked at before, and also you're letting maybe Jarvis do some of the heavy lifting on the brain power of things, right? So if you're unsure of even where to start on your outline, you can use a tool like the blog post outline template and literally just work with Jarvis to get ideas of like, what would this chapter look like if I outlined this topic very specifically? And that takes a surprising amount of mental energy, and just as going with any kind of book does. And so what we're really leaning on Jarvis, once you know what you're going to be writing your book about, the topic that you're going to be presenting to people, is like, how do we use Jarvis to, one, take away some of the brain power that it's requiring you as the author writing it, and to see maybe a different angle for something, and to really take a step back and look at it from a holistic point of view, that Jarvis is going to do a good bit of the work if you set it up for success. But in order to do that, you still have to have a really, really, really clear definition of what success looks like, or Jarvis is going to run amok and go in a lot of different directions. And that's what we see, especially one of the downfalls with new people coming into Jarvis, and maybe an expectation they might have, is that Jarvis is going to write this chapter for me, or Jarvis is going to write this blog post for me, or he's going to write my LinkedIn bio for me, right? Well, without the right inputs to Jarvis, the outputs are going to be a little bit more scattered. And so that's why we still bring it back to the preparation and the knowing the why and the who that you have. The Jarvis can be the how you get some of it done, but it's not the only way. And often I find that if I'm hitting writer's block and Jarvis still isn't cutting it, I'll revert back to tools like Otter.ai or Descript, which are really powerful voice transcription softwares, powered by AI, that you can talk through your thoughts and your mental processes, and you can edit what you're saying inside of the softwares, and then you can translate those into Jarvis, into your Google Doc, if that's what you're working in, and then you can edit it. And so while the thing that gave me my biggest breakthrough was using the blog post outline to figure out exactly what I was going to be writing chapters and all the sections inside of my chapters, was once those are out and you have that outline done, a lot of our authors will literally talk their entire book. And now that the meat of the content is out there, you can take that back and you can literally work with Jarvis to rephrase sentences that might not make sense, like when you read them. They make sense when you speak them, but reading is a little bit different. So you can work with Jarvis to rephrase it. You have tools like Grammarly that will help with sentence structure and reorganizing things. You've got the tool to explain it to a child. Say you say a really complex sentence, that's just too much for a reader to just comprehend. We want it to make an enjoyable read. We don't want to make people's brains hurt, and often, like with the types of books that we're putting out there. And so, again, dancing with Jarvis, getting the content out, and then using it here and there to help kind of reshape some of your thoughts. But taking it in bite-sized action steps, and like chapter 1 at a time, chapter 2 at a time, chapter 3 at a time. It's all self-contained, and each chapter should have a very specific outcome, very specific action steps in that chapter. And the reader should walk away from each chapter feeling like they've got more value out of it than they had going into it. And that's going to, in turn, give a lot more goodwill to you as the author and the authority that, oh, this person can help me solve a problem. Because a lot of people won't actually finish your book. A lot of people won't read past the first chapter. The most important part of any book, outside of the book description and blurb, where it gets people to actually like buy into reading your book, is the introduction. That's where you get to identify who you're talking to, why this book is different, how to read this book in the first place, and setting your reader up for success so that they know that they're in the right place at the right time to get the right thing out of the book that they can apply right now to their business or their life and get the right result. And if you can do all of that in the introduction, and ideally all the way to the end of your book, the last part of the book should be an invitation for people that want to learn how they can work with you more, want to enter, into more of your ecosystem, whether it's a free Facebook group, whether it's a, a course in a community, whether it's a high ticket mastermind, whatever it is, you know, cordially inviting somebody to do that after you've given them so much value in the book is really where our end goal is with these processes. And Jarvis helps a lot along the way, but it doesn't help you come up with your why, right? And it doesn't help you identify your ideal end goal. So it really all comes down to the human. And then now we have this amazing awesome AI powered writing assistant that can really smash through that writer's block for you, but it's still on you to work with that writing assistant and you to be the editor that's keeping it in check.
I really like that. I fully agree. If you can either look at some other competing books in your category and kind of see some of the topics they're hitting on, or you can brainstorm some good ideas, maybe use the blog post outline to come up with some of the chapters that you want, and then use Jarvis to expand, or even, speaking out your book, like you mentioned earlier, and then using that transcript where you could have it, explain it to a child or simplify it or even rewrite the sentence by sentence, especially ones that were a bit clunky when you reread them. That's really going to make things so much easier. I mean, someone could really speak out a book in an hour or two of just kind of brain dumping their thoughts, and then it'd be a matter of using Jarvis and Grammarly and maybe a few other tools to clean it up a little bit, and you could get a ton of a book done that way, especially if you had an outline. And I mean, just even using the blog post outline tool, or even looking at some table of contents of some other books in your industry, I mean, that's going to give you a really good idea of some of the topics that you need to hit on in your book. And you could just kind of whiz past that. Or you even mentioned, people that have like a presentation. I mean, someone could take their PowerPoint presentation or keynote presentation, have a recording of that, and they've got they could get the transcript of that, and they've got a really good start of their book, and something to sell probably afterwards, or even as a bonus, get the whole presentation too. So I think that is just so cool. Now, I know you've got customers that have gone through this book. What kind of, or this course? What kind of success are people having with the different books that they've been writing with your training?
Yeah, so I'll touch on a few that come to mind immediately after you say that. The first one is a gentleman by the name of Michael Hale, who take you back 10 years into the past. He had made a bet. I think it was like something along the lines of $1,000 in oysters with a bunch of friends one night while they were having some drinks, and made this bet that you can't write a book in the next 10 years. And he took that bet and he lost that bet. He never got to the point where he was actually going to write and publish that book. And so he ended up having to shuck out $1,000 in some form, no pun intended, I guess, kind of was there. But he got more done on his book in these 7 days, and did get his digital edition published onto Amazon in 7 days, more than he had done in the last 7 to 10 years on his book. And it was a huge personal accomplishment for him. And he's extremely thrilled that he was able to get it out, for one. And, he told me, he's like, if this book just helps one person with my life experience and my perspective on it, then it's a win for me. And I'm ecstatic about it. And it was a huge personal accomplishment. I can call myself a published author now. And, a lot of guys, like the people running these challenges with us, they've got their own businesses. Like, they're busy people. Like, it's difficult to just set aside a week even to focus like this. And he did it. And so that was one success story that comes to mind. Another one of our students, Sierra. She runs a sales marketing company. She helps people grow their Facebook groups using organic reach and strategies. And she'd been I think she had planned to write a book the year before. She did this one, and it just never got around to it. It just never happened. And so she put her head down in the 7-day challenge. She got her book out of her head and onto paper, clicked publish, and even that next week, I saw her posting on her Facebook wall, like, who wants to, get a copy of my book, right? Getting a lot of hand raisers, people that are interested in learning about her book. I think it's called Not a Sales Book. It's about the process that she kind of goes through with this one aspect of her business that she teaches and works with clients on, right? And so now it's warming up people to her process, to her personality, and to her business and her offers, so that whenever the time is right, she can present that offer and enroll people in. And just last Friday, Sierra sent me a message and said, "Hey, just wanted to let you know, somebody reached out to me because they saw me talking about my book on one of my lives, and I connected them with my book, which connected them with my sales rep, which opened up the conversation to have a call to closing a $6,800 deal that she didn't have to be involved in. It was her sales rep that did the closing. All she had to do is have that book that was written by her. And that's the first of one that she can directly relate to, that you said. There may be other people that have started working with her because of that, but I was jumping for joy when I heard that, because that's so cool to think that she's reaping the rewards a month or two down the road, even in a very short time frame, by something where she just put her head down and got something out of her head extremely fast. And she went through the challenge. And when I talked to her after the challenge, she actually scrapped her book. She worked and did 5 days of the 7-day book challenge, had this huge, big, colossal book in mind, was overwhelmed, scrapped it, and in like a day and a half, rewrote an entire book. And that's what turned into a $6,800 sale for her business. First of many to come, I'm sure. And then the third example I want to point out is Austin Distal, who is right now the chief marketing officer at Jarvis, and is very obviously close with the project, and a phenomenal marketer, especially in the SaaS space, for helping SaaS businesses grow. And he's wanted to write a book. Oh, he came into the challenge because he has the expertise in the industry in how the subscription economy is changing the way businesses operate, and how the benefits of having subscription built into your business changes the way that business owners can even live, because you have that predictable recurring revenue coming every single month. And so he came in, he took the challenge, he wrote his book and published his book in 7 days called Subscription Secrets. And he wanted it to be essentially, one, the outline for what his future community and his future courses and his future offerings would be. If he wanted to start a podcast, each chapter and each subsection of each chapter could be a topic of a podcast that he can do it on. So he wanted to use the book as essentially that content outline and that brain dump of his thought leadership in this field. And not even a few weeks after he published it on Amazon, someone completely organically was searching for someone to help them implement subscription into their business. It was a nonprofit business, I believe. They found his book on Amazon, read the introduction essentially, and they reached out to him. They found him on Clarity FM. We can go and reach out for experts. They searched his name for the author and scheduled to book a call for him, got on a consulting call, and they signed up for Jarvis. I think they signed up for his other subscription business. And, who knows what door that now has opened, because somebody searched and found his book on Amazon. And it's only the beginning of where that book is going to be leading him in his business. So those are the 3 examples that really come top of mind here, but we've got dozens of other examples that continue every time we run these challenges. People are finishing their book in 7 days. Sometimes it takes a few more weeks. Sometimes it takes another month or 2 to get it actually done. But the forward progress and the momentum that people are building in the 7 days has, it like resounding trickle effects down the line. Like it just keeps feeding off of that, because they're really putting that energy out, and it's just paying itself off because it's purposeful energy and there's intention behind it. And that's what I think is so powerful about having this book, is because it's hard work. Most people will never write a book. Most people want to write a book, but those that actually do it, like, it doesn't have to take years now. It doesn't have to take months. Sometimes it can take days to get it done. And if you can commit yourself to putting in the work for just those amount of days, like, ask yourself, what would that do for you, even just from a personal accomplishment or a business standpoint? Like, is it worth it to you to reap those rewards? And if that's the case, are you willing to commit to yourself that you will put the focus in and make that commitment, stay with that commitment to make it happen? And the community we're building grows every day, every week, every month, to build that support system of authors that are on this journey, that are taking those steps in the right direction, that are using this artificial intelligence as a tool that's just making things possible that people never would have thought they could do before, become a published author.
I think that's really awesome. I mean, you've got people that have been, trying to get books out for a decade and couldn't do it, and they lost a bet, and they're able to whip one out real quick with Jarvis. You got someone else who lands a coaching client that pays $6,800 right away after looking at their book, and then you got another guy, setting up another business because of a book that's really outlined things and is bringing in new business for his existing companies that he works with. So that is just really phenomenal what you've been able to achieve here, Darby. Now, I know you've got a business partner that you're partnered with on this project, and he's kind of got an interesting thing, because I know I was on one of your earlier coachings for this whole Jarvis Underground, and he was showing us around at I think a thing he owns or a place he works at. And why don't you tell us a little bit about that, and then we'll dive into what's all included in your course afterwards.
Absolutely. So my business partner is Zachariah Stratford. He's also the managing partner at a company called The Book Patch. What Book Patch is a self-publishing platform that helps authors upload, print, and distribute their books. And so they focus primarily on self-published authors, and they've got an entire printing press built around the support system of, like, now you have a manuscript and a book that's ready to be printed. Now what? Sure, Amazon is one option, but Amazon has a lot of fees included with it. And there's a lot of detrimental things to only being on Amazon, such as not having access to your customers that buy your book, not being able to follow up with them, not being able to offer stuff on the back end of a purchase to somebody that might want to be like buying from you. So his company, The Book Patch, they've helped over 60,000 authors over the last decade or so become published authors, because they've got the systems and like the tools in place that allow them to upload their books and then have access to that printing press to get their books in their hand and on paper. And I've actually got a book in my right here. Where is it? It's sitting around here somewhere. That I used when I was initially going through my most recent book published with Jarvis to get those first initial advanced reader copies printed, because I'm not ready to go to full distribution yet, but I want to have copies in my hand that I can literally read. I can show people. I can test how it's going to feel at market, and I got that whole process initiated in under 15 minutes, right? And so like they have the ability to really like upload your product, upload your book, your manuscript, and your cover to their platform, and they handle all the printing for you, and they handle the distribution for you, and they're doing some really, really cool things right now to help amplify that whole author ecosystem in the self-publishing space. It's really changing the game, and they've literally helped print millions of books over the last decade plus. Through these authors, and this is still only the beginning. I mean, the thing that they're disrupting when it comes to the book publishing space is that often these publishing houses that handle all of this stuff, like, that's great in the traditional sense, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into publishing, but by and large, you don't need, if you don't have a big audience and you don't have the money to invest in a big publisher to take you on, and if you don't even want all of that goes into it, and you want to just become a published author and have your book out there and use it for whatever reason you want to, it doesn't have to be so complicated that you can't hit publish and actually like be able to say that you accomplished a feat like this. And so what we're doing is, especially at the Book Patch, and what we're partnering with them, on inside of this training, and why there's so much synergy between us as partners on this project, is because the biggest problem in the publishing space, and just people becoming authors in general, is, let's say you have 1,000 people that start their book. 90% of those 1,000 people are never going to get to the point where their book is in that manuscript place to be edited and then submitted to publishing, right? And so what we're doing is helping people with the heavy lifting of that 90% of the way there, so that they can finally have an editor look at their book, so that they can submit it to the book patch, so that they can hold the book in their hands, so that they can give it to their family, their friends, potential clients, customers, get real feedback. And like seeing that process and like shortening that feedback loop is huge. No one wants to write a book for 3 years and just be so like upset that like, oh man, I've been working on this book forever and I just hit writer's block, and I got busy, work came up, I had to go on vacation, had a kid, like whatever comes up with it. Like there's a lot of things that are going to stop people from getting to that point of writing the book. And so us getting, and the reason Zachariah was so excited about coming in and helping us out with this project, and why it's been, being able to accelerate the growth of the training so much, is because he's been in the business for years. Like he's got a lot of connections with best-selling authors and people that are very established in the business of selling books, right? And that's what we're all about inside of the challenge, is like, how do we get to the point where you can start selling books? And obviously the challenge is a pretty self-contained, you do this, you can get it done, here it is. There's a lot more that goes into it once you finally hit published, right? But getting to that point is way more than half the battle, and it's often the hardest burst of energy to even get there. Then the fun stuff happens. Now you can market it. Now you can start doing all the things that come with how do you leverage all the work that you just did to reap the rewards and continue to reap the rewards of, at the end of the day, a marketing asset that you created for yourself. That's probably the most valuable marketing asset that you can have in your business, is a book that you can hand somebody and say, yeah, this is me. And, again, like a lot of people without having that book aren't going to get paid to go speak on stages. They're not going to get that client that's, well, how are you different than the other consultants out there? Right. Oh, by the
I,
way, I wrote the book on it.
I think a lot of people, equate like an Ivy League education as being able to write their own ticket. And that's really not the case anymore. It's having your own book is really how you write your own ticket in today's economy. We are in the information economy, and if you can give people a book that you've written, or you can sell them a book that you've written, that just opens so many more doors that your competition just doesn't have. They don't have access to, they don't have the time to do it. Like you mentioned, I mean, people take years, sometimes even a decade or more, to write their book. And you're teaching people how to do it in as little as a week. And then when you being partnered with Zachariah with his book patch, I mean, you're really overcoming tons of objections for people. Not only do you have the training where you're teaching people how and why they need to write their book and how to do it fast, you're giving them access to a tool that will help them write it incredibly fast. Plus, they'll have access to a publisher, so they could actually have a printed out copy, and they'll be able to get the contact information of their customers so they can follow up with them and sell their higher end products and services. So, I mean, you've really made this so simple for anyone to succeed. Now, can you tell us a little bit more about, what's included in this training? What are people getting exactly when they invest in writing with Jarvis?
Absolutely. So, we call it the 7-day book challenge, because that's was the initial way that we spit out the challenge. To see all of us busy people, how can we bear down in 7 days and get this thing done? But there's a very there's things that need to go into any book that just have to happen. Like you need to have your outline, your introduction, your chapter, like there's the stuff that goes into every book. And so what we've essentially done is brought in like top experts in the industry from all different angles and have them talk on their topic of expertise on the day that it makes the most sense, if you're going through it in this 7-day format, right? And it's a matter of focusing on what do you need to focus on today, and then what do you need to focus on tomorrow, right? And so a lot of the content we really do recommend, just to preface all of this, like it is content to consume. It does take time. Like, and so like setting aside time to watch content and understand what you're getting into before going into the sprint, you're going to have a lot higher chance of success for, um, completing the challenge for one, but also just being more confident going through it and not being as overwhelmed, because, that's something that could happen to anyone. Information overload. There's no lack of information out there, but are you getting the right information at the right time? And I feel our duty is to curate the right information and to present it in the right way that you can execute on that information, and block out all the distractions, right? So day one is prepare, 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 prepare. It's all about finding your why, writing it down, mapping out your customer avatar, your ideal reader, your client, the person that's going to be reading this. Often you might have more than one. And so understanding how is your book going to be leading them to that logical path from introduction to conclusion. What are the steps in between? And finding your spine, understanding why you're qualified to do this in the first place, kind of breaking through your mental barriers that might say, like, do you have the expertise to talk about this? What makes you uniquely qualified to talk about this? Why is this book going to be different than something else that's already maybe out there? Who are you talking to? What are your goals with this book? How many books do you want to sell in a week? How many books do you want to sell in a month, in a year? Where do you want this book to take you 3, 5, 10 years from now, right? Like spending like if all you did on day one of the first 7 days in this challenge was really sitting with yourself and understanding these core like principles of things that you just need to get out there whenever you do hit roadblocks, which you will when you're going through this process, you've already done the work to line yourself back up and to get back on page. It's like, God, I'm just burnt out today. I don't know if what am I writing for? It's like, oh, on day one, I already wrote all that out. I'm like, okay, this is why I'm doing a book. This is why I'm committing myself to this. Right. And like, we're not even talking about writing yet. We're talking about just getting your thoughts in line with where you are right now. So when you're ready to sprint, you're not looking back and wondering if you're going in the right direction. You already know what the end goal in mind is. Day two is all about the researching and the outlining, right? So you know what you're going to be writing your book on, you know who you're talking to. How do we make sure that the research and the outline is backing that up? And like you said before, you can look at Amazon and look at what other people in your niche and market are writing about. You can look at all these different tools that can help you process different outlines, different formats. Like what are people already buying? How are people consuming this book? What makes sense? Like, how does it make sense for your book to be? If people are buying your book and like they're expecting a novel, well, maybe you've got a lot more work in store for you to write a novel because that's like the type of book you want. But if you're an expert on a specific topic and all the books out there that are talking about this topic are 100 to 150 pages and they're relatively quick reads and they're nonfiction books, like how do the book covers look? How does the outline look? How does the interior of the book look? Like what's already kind of working out there, and just getting an understanding of the scape on it, looking at reviews. What do people not like about the other people in the industry that are saying about it? What are some questions that might be missed that you know for a fact that you're answering? What are you bringing to the table that's new and unique? And like getting that structure laid out and understanding the format. And you can use all this research when you go to designing your cover, when you go to actually marketing your book, right? This is all stuff that you're going to be able to use and leverage for months or years down the road. But keeping again that focus on the research, it's really still kind of tied in with the preparation, because if you don't do the research, you're still going to maybe second guess yourself. And so focusing on day two specifically on that and getting your outline out, those are the two big things. So ideally by the end of day two, your research is done, your outline is done, which is the most important part there for starting on day three, which is write. Again, minimum viable manuscript. How do we get the words out of your head and onto paper so that you can put them in somebody's hands to get you that, that feedback, that result, that thing that you want at the end of the day? Because at the end of the day, the manuscript, if the manuscript can sell your product in a really simple, easy to look at Google document that's just 8.5 by 11, just general, paper wise, that can be plenty enough for you, you to leverage like off of your business. And like I see a lot of these expert books that even are, they're so simple. There's not a lot of fluff or flair to it, but it's very specific, right? And so it's write. Use Jarvis, use these tools, break through that writer's block, head down, focus, make sure your week is blocked out, which you should have done in the preparation, and know exactly I'm spending this time doing this on my book and I'm getting the content out of my head. And that's essentially days 3 through 5. Our focus is really on that. It's write, refine, and honestly edit on the go, right? The more that you can like use tools like Grammarly plugged in with your writing, the more that you can go back through your content and you're getting it out of your head, whether you're typing it, whether you're speaking it, you know, you want to make sure that it's coherent, right? And self-edit yourself. And obviously, if you're not a perfect, if you're not, if English isn't even your first language, right? With a lot of people, English is their second language, and we're writing books, in English, right? We recommend on day one is finding an accountability partner, right? So that you can tap into that on days 3 through 5. Say, hey, oh gosh, I just wrote out 10,000 words on days 3 and 4. I'd like someone just to kind of like that has already committed to giving me their feedback. Give me a glance over. Hey, this looks good. This looks bad. I don't get that at all. You need to talk about this more. It's clear. It's crystal clear. A lot of the books that we've seen come through this, like, are getting these results for the authors that are writing them in anywhere from 15 to 20,000 words as very short, straight to the point, expert nonfiction books, but it's not doing you any good if it's stuck here, right? And so by the end of day 5, the meat of your manuscript should really be out there. Like you should have touched on every topic that you're going to be touching on. You should have expanded on the topics that you want to be expanding on. And so like from day 6, you're going back through, you're putting some finishing touches on it, making sure that like basic formatting is set up, right? Maybe you're working with a formatter, you've hired a professional to come work with you. Like there's a lot of services that you can tap into throughout this process that we also touch on inside of the challenge, to where, you know, whether you want to do it as simple as humanly possible, or whether you have a few $1,000s set aside to hire an editing team and a formatting team to be with you there on the spot. Like if you have the resources to do that and you want to bring your team in to help you with this process, go for it. I 100% support it. But if you're bootstrapping it, you want to do it all on your own, and you just want to get this thing out of your head and have it in physical format and hand it off to your advanced readers, your inner circle of people that are going to give you that feedback on it so you can build on it, you can do that too. And really, when it comes down to it, day 7, if you started on a Monday, now you're on Sunday, let's take a breath back, relax. Let's grab some coffee, grab some tea. Let's read through your book again. Let's have your accountability partner work through it with you. Let's make sure everything's, cross our T's and dot our I's, and, get to that point where you can upload to the book patch, upload to Amazon, click publish. And, by this time next week, you could have 1 or 10 of these books in your hands that you could be handing off to people. And it could, that's a huge milestone that most people never get to that point of clicking publish. And so it's kind of essentially, that's like where everything fits inside of that framework. And inside of the challenge, each day we're talking about expert authors, entrepreneurs that have written hundreds of books that go through the process. And there's some eerily similar like things with each of these authors that have written and sold so many books. It's like, okay, if these are all Wall Street Journal, USA Today, like best-selling authors, ghostwriters, publishers, people that have done this dozens or hundreds of times before for them and their clients, they probably know a thing or two about what they're saying. Like, don't try and reinvent the wheel. Like, we just brought you the best in the industry to do this. Like, trust that this works, right? And follow it and get your book out of your head.
Now, speaking of these, experts that you've had on, who are some of these people that you've had on, and what are some of the accomplishments that they've done, and what are they teaching in your course?
Yeah, so I'm going to just pull up the screen right here real quick so that
Sure.
I can have it in front of me. The experts that, just for a few of their accolades, because I don't want to get any one of them mixed up with the other.
Sure. And if you want to share your screen too, that's totally fine as well. Whatever works for you. Did I lose you, Darby?
All right.
There,
I'm
now
back.
you're back. You're back.
All right. Cool. So as far as the experts go, day one, and really where we like point most everyone to start with when it comes to just getting a really solid overview of this process is Matthew Thrush. He's got now, I believe, over 300 best-selling books that he has helped ghostwrite. He's written himself, for him, for his clients. He's helped launch his books. He's helped launch over 1,000 books to the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, New York Times, and the Amazon bestseller list. He hosts 3-day workshops where he like hands-on teaches authors, experts, coaches, consultants, practitioners, speakers, and thought leaders how to turn their ideas into the best-selling books. He helps them map them out, outline their book. And inside these 3-day workshops, he helps people like do this entire thing over just a weekend. He also does turnkey services that he charges a lot of money for his premium clients. And he teaches his exact process that he goes through and that he's done this hundreds of times before. You've got Michael Alden, who is a 3-time Wall Street Journal and USA Today bestselling author. He runs a marketing company that helps other authors launch the Wall Street Journal, USA Today, New York Times, Amazon bestseller list. He's been featured in loads of magazines, Inc. I think, I'm not sure, like Smart CEO. Yeah, he said he was a winner of, what was he? Yeah, he was named by the Boston Business Journal as one of Boston's 40 under 40, and he was a winner of Smart CEO's Future 50 Awards based on these accomplishments that he's made running this marketing firm that does these. So he runs these marketing campaigns for very large and very prominent influencers and authors in their books. You've got John Rhodes, who has helped publish well over 140 books, helped co-author, helped publish. He is one of my favorite interviews of the entire training, because he outlines his process so much, and that like it really boils down to like the way that he views books is as he's creating machines to create more machines that work for him. And so, when he outlines and maps out these books, he is so prepared by the time he actually goes down to sit down and write it. I think total time that he spent in writing the book that he called, I think it's called like Superhuman Author or something. I can't remember the name right off the top of my head, but I think he spent a total of like 16 hours, he said in the interview, just working on the book. And then he had his team coming in and doing the things that he didn't need to do because he had the systems already set up and in place. And so he goes through the rapid book writing process that he uses, that how he views like writing these books and how he leverages these books. Like he's literally written books for one CEO before because he wanted to land a consulting contract. And, you're that targeted and what your audience is, like you can open a lot of doors with that kind of process. So he talks a lot especially on the mindset when it comes to the entrepreneur, side of that. Michael Alden talks a lot about his launch process. You talked about him at his marketing firm. Matthew Thrush, really amazing 90-minute masterclass. And then we have one of my mentors, Ron Lynch, who's known as the $4 billion man. For one, he's a best-selling author, but Ron has had his hand in GoPro, OxyClean, Samsung PowerBot vacuums, Rudd Doctor, and hundreds of other consumer goods over the years that he launches and has generated literally like over $1 billion in attributed revenue to what he does. Because one, he understands how the consumer thinks and he knows how to position a product in front of that consumer. And books are no different. With all of his success in the consumer brands, and just how he's been able to work with these massive companies and help them achieve success. His book, it's called Buy Now, uh, is attributed 20 to 30 million dollars in revenue for him and his firm since launching it, a decade plus ago. Because the book is literally hyper targeted. He knows his audience, is positioning himself where he needs to be, and it turns into big business, right? Like, he knows what he's doing when it comes down to writing a book for the right person. And in his interview, he shares a lot about his experience, especially on his side, coming from Hollywood and looking at things from a screenwriter's perspective as much as you would maybe just like an author perspective, and like how to like literally visualize your person, your avatar, how you're walking them down the path of your book is no different than if you're telling a story in a movie as it is, putting words on a piece of paper. You got Craig Hanley is another best-selling author. He's an entrepreneur, speaker, musician, philanthropist, and he actually runs a book marketing agency as well. He's got hundreds, maybe over 1,000 employees that work with his business, and like they help people launch these books. They help do a lot of other things as far as his marketing, as far as his the marketing side of book launches go. But in his interview, he breaks down his rapid book outlining process, where it's literally an under 20-minute exercise. Sure, you can spend more time on it if you want, but he breaks down like, all right, title, intro to your book, go. All right, here's the title and the blurb of the book. And he literally says, like, pull out like an egg timer, if you have one of those hanging around the house, or just take your phone out and put a timer on, and like, put the timer on, 2 minutes, heads down, get this out. All right, take a breather, come back in. All right, spend another 2 minutes. We're going to write down the things that we're going to be talking about, like in the chapter potential titles, right? Take a break, come back, another 4 minutes, write down the different things you're going to talk about in each of these chapters, right? And again, like I said, the outline is the biggest roadblock that we're finding with people just getting to the point where they can even start writing their book. Michael Hale, who I talked about earlier, that had lost a 10-year bet to write a book, wrote his outline in an hour with the help of Craig's process and Jarvis. Like, that's literally something that cost him over $1,000 in a bet, in a decade of agony and not getting his book out, so finally achieving a lifelong dream of becoming a published author, right? And he got this thing that was taking him a decade to get started, got his outline done in an hour, and then he was able to blast through the rest of his book and hit publish at the end of those days. One other speaker that we have is Justin Breen, a best-selling author, and he runs a very successful, very large PR agency called Brepic, where he works with like the top 1% of visionary entrepreneurs in the world and helps them actualize their dreams, get the PR to reach more people, and in turn help more people with what these entrepreneurs are doing in the world, right? And so like part of his reason behind his book was to connect with more people that he wants to connect with, right? And so he brings a really interesting perspective to, one, like not doing what you're not supposed to be doing, like not doing what doesn't light you up as an entrepreneur, or anybody for that matter. If you don't enjoy editing books, like damn sure shouldn't be editing your own book. Right? Like focus on the things that you need to be focusing on in your business, and find the right people to help you achieve the other things in success. Another coach that we have is Dan Schwartz. He is actually he lives here in Austin, with pretty close to where I live right now. He's a real estate coach. He coaches millionaire real estate investors on getting them out of working in their business to working on their business. You might be asking, why is this relevant to books? Well, the fact is that real estate investor focus or not, we're all operating our daily lives as a business. And often we're working too much in the things that aren't lighting us up and aren't like really moving the needle. And we're getting drowned out in a lot of the noise in our life. And so he breaks down some really high level, really powerful, impactful systems and processes that he works through his consulting clients to help them remove themselves from the things that they don't want in their business, and like really see that achieving success. And when it comes to writing a book and like how we parallel it there, it's you need to be very specific and very particular with the time that you're spending while you're writing a book, especially if you're doing it in a week, right? You need to be very focused on that regard. And that's just a few of the coaches that we have in here. And we're bringing in some more. I mean, like in yourself as like a Jarvis expert, Reed, like you coming in and helping walk through and work through people actually how to work with Jarvis and apply it is so, and like it's so beneficial to the people coming in with this challenge. And it's going to be an extremely helpful training for anyone coming in and interested in, one, just learning how to use Jarvis more, but also how do you really leverage Jarvis and the other tools with it. You're one of the coaches that's a part of this program and sharing your knowledge and your expertise. And we've got a few more lined up right now that are going to be coming in, and more specifically on like the why and the personal, like the mindset and the space of it for this next challenge that I'm really excited about, as well as some more, another coach who is a very critically acclaimed book cover designer. He's going to talk with us a little bit about the book cover design process and how, like, really at the highest levels, like what goes into a cover design and like how does it speak to you. And so we're going to continue building onto this course, and we're going to continue bringing in some of the best coaches in the world to provide this information. But as you can see, it's a lot of great teaching. It is some content to consume. So, make sure you're giving yourself the space to take in the content so that you can then take action on it. But all in all, that's just a kind of an overview of some of the coaching and the training that you're going to get when you sign up and take the 7-day book challenge.
What I love about this is not only is it a 7-day book challenge, but you have a real plan of attack of action-oriented steps that you can take, so you can go from start to finish on your book within a week. You've got all these experts that have done this countless times and have helped clients of theirs do this many, many times, teaching you exactly what to do. And I know you've put together a bunch of bonuses to really make this a no-brainer offer for people to pick up. Can you share some of those bonuses and where people can go to take advantage of this challenge and get signed up?
Yeah, so one of the bonuses that we have when we're doing this challenge, and really what I think it really sparks the community aspect of it, is we do daily live calls to help people and coach people through the challenge when we're doing it. It's Monday through Friday. Right now we have it set at noon to 1 Central Time. We're probably going to start adding in more times with that. But for people that are signing up for this challenge in the first place, we want to make sure that people have the opportunity to come on live with myself and Zachariah, as the co-hosts of this challenge, as well as bringing in, some more of these speakers. And so, you might not say, well, is that a bonus? Is it not? Well, I mean, it not having that live interaction is a big detriment, and giving people the ability to come on stage and ask questions and talk through it is a huge needle mover from my perspective. That's what I want out of a course. I want to be able to talk and interact with the people that I'm learning from and teaching, and I want some direction. And so what we've also done is put together an exclusive 7-day challenge group that is separate from our Jarvis Underground community, where once you commit to buying the challenge, you get access to this group. It's not like a crazy, oh, everyone's, hyperactive all the time outside of the challenge, but that's where we have very specific challenge questions during these week-long sprints, and kind of provide a community area where we can really interact with the people that have proven and like give that commitment to us, to go in and show it, separate it from a little bit of the noise that you might find in just the general Facebook world, put it down there, and just ask questions and get faster feedback from us, because again, like, we're all busy, we're all on social media. We put a dedicated time to supporting this group during these challenges. And we also, outside of the challenge, we have a growing monthly membership for people that want to continue the challenge calls, but in just an hour a week, kind of checking in, accountability. It's a little bit separate from what we're talking here, so I won't go into detail necessarily on that. But when I talk earlier about our why and the how and the who and what we're doing in the preparation stage, we've put together a series of, I think right now it's 4 workbooks, like e-workbooks, where you can actually like type out all of these different things. It's not just, we're not just putting it out there and letting you go off and try to figure out this on your own. We've broken down each of these questions very specifically in a digital format. So you could have these 4 worksheets. You could literally fill each one of them out directly, and we'll give you our feedback on them. We'll share with us your worksheets. It's like, talk through, like, are you hitting any roadblocks with your avatar? Are you struggling with how many books you should be selling? So we have that as a bonus as well, so people get access to those workbooks. And for everyone going through the challenge, we're also have a bonus of putting together just a real killer 3D cover design creation. Make your book stand out, pop, make it look sexy. Like, have one of like some of these 3D cover design, elements that, you get the cover designed yourself. We do offer that as a service. If someone's looking for it, you can have your own cover design or whatever it is, but we'll actually give you one of these 3D cover package creations so that you can show off your new book on social media. You can put it on your website. And for those that they're just joining and aren't signed up for Jarvis, we've worked out a deal with the team that if you sign up, for Jarvis inside of this challenge, we're actually giving you 10,000 bonus credits when you sign up, for Jarvis with it. Obviously, if you sign up for the long form, for the pro plan on Jarvis, you don't have a limit on credits, but you don't necessarily need that to do the challenge. There's a lot of other templates and tools inside of Jarvis that you can use. 10,000 free credits from Jarvis. Don't worry about overusing it. And honestly, like, if that's a concern with you, like, let's not make it a concern, right? We don't want you to worry about how many words you're spending with Jarvis. We want to worry about the amount of words you're getting on paper and making them the right words. And so that's just what we have right now. And I mean, if you sign up for it and you really don't feel like you are getting the value out of the trainings that we are, if you don't feel like you're getting your money's worth for the challenge in Matthew Thrush's masterclass, which is easily worth $1,000 and just like straight to the point consulting knowledge, like, money back, right? Like, I'm not here, like, your ticket to the challenge isn't going to make or break my heart. If you don't feel like we're delivering the value that we're promising we're going to deliver and help you move the needle on your book, then it's a 30-day money back guarantee. But I mean, we haven't had one yet. So I hope to keep that at 100%. And yeah, but that's a little bit of the bonuses that we have right now. And I'm sure we'll keep tacking on some more as this thing grows.
It's really good. Now, how do people get signed up for this challenge, Darby?
Yeah, so right now you can go to writingwithjarvis.com. That will take you to the sales detail page, lays out everything that you get here, talks to you about some of the coaches that I spoke about earlier, shows you some of the the bonuses, and gives you the opportunity to sign up right now. As of today, the next challenge starts on June 7th, and we're also starting to take enrollment for our next challenge, which starts in July. After this next one, for July 12th is that week. So, it is a time commitment. We do recommend that you sign up a week before, if you're able to give yourself some prep time to consume some of the content. And feel free to sign up a month in advance if you need to as well. Like, prepare. It is, again, a time commitment. Really want you to be able to block off the time and get this down, because what you do in this week that you spend writing your book with us and writing your book with Jarvis is going to benefit you for the rest of your life.
Wonderful. So guys, click the link underneath this video and get signed up for the 7-day book challenge, Writing with Jarvis. Is there anything else you'd like to add, Darby, before we end the call?
Yeah, just love to have you guys here. Anyone that is interested and has that book inside of their head, they want to get it out. If this is your first book, or if you already have been a published author, I guarantee you will learn things not only from how to use Jarvis more effectively and more efficiently, but also in just like how does the book publishing process work as a whole. And there's going to be a lot of really great takeaways that we'll get from the challenge. And if you if you've been on the fence about writing that book, and you're looking for a community that's going to support you and give you that kind of kick in the rear to get out there and get it done and make some real serious progress, we're here for you, and we'd love to have you and help help work with you and watch your book come to life and see you progress in your journey as an author.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much, guys. Click that link right now and get signed up for the next 7-day book challenge. Thank you, Darby. Thanks for being on the call